Well, it's clearly a big political gamble. Mr. GVL Rao of the BJP joins us tonight. Sushmita Dev, Lok Sabha MP of the Congress party, is with us. Economist and food policy expert Devinder Sharma is joining us as well. And senior journalist Sabha Naqvi, who's just come back from a week in Uttar Pradesh, also joins us tonight. Mr. Sharma, let me ask you first on the issue of policy. Now, we know that we're seeing a lot of agrarian stress at the moment, a lot of stress on farmers in particular. The government's announcement today that farmers can now use those old 500 rupee notes to buy seeds. Is that a significant relief?
No, I don't think so. In fact, a few days back, I had said that the need to do is to allow farmers to use the old currency, not only to buy seeds, but also to buy chemical fertilizer and other inputs. And at the same time, ensure that the cooperative banks, the kind of embargo they have placed should be removed, should be lifted, and farmers should have access to more credit and so on. But the seed part that has happened, I mean, it's of course belated effort that has taken place. The fact of the matter is not more than 5% seed is that is used is from the government sources. And so I don't know why, just like the hospitals, we are trying to say that you can use that money for in the government hospitals, but not in the private hospitals. So similarly here, when we say that you are only using this money for the government shops and so on, I think we are not addressing the bigger issue.
Mr. Rao, I want to take that to you because today Amit Shah, the party president of the BJP, met Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, and you had this announcement being made about the 500 rupee note being used. Devinder Sharma, who's an expert in this field, believes it's not really going to achieve much, that farmer distress will continue. But one gets a sense that somewhere the BJP is getting feedback of the kind of crisis that is playing out on the ground, particularly in rural India, which is why you have these announcements that are coming. Mr. Rao.
Yeah, Nidhi, as a political party with a nationwide footprint, I think we certainly get feedback. We are a party responsive to the people's needs. So certainly when we take a major decision like this, we certainly have our feedback coming from all over the country. And the kind of relief that has been given by way of various exemptions and various new decisions that are being announced are meant to provide relief to the people. But at the same time, we do not want the government's core objective should not be defeated by allowing, if you allow people to access any kind of shops for buying seeds and to take money from any kind of banks. So there is a lot of money laundering, that is, there are reports of money laundering happening through those channels. So it's a trade-off that government has to make. But we, as a government, we are extremely sympathetic and we are concerned about our farmers. But certainly we will do everything possible to ensure that they do not suffer and we don't suffer any loss of agricultural production. These are priorities for us as a government. But at the same time, we don't want any laundering by unscrupulous individuals. No farmer does it, I can vouch for them, but there are a lot of unscrupulous people, that includes politicians as well, who use these channels to really launder money.
But Mr.
So
Rao,
certainly attempts
as
have
Mr.
to be
Devinder
made
Sharma
to ensure we
pointed
don't
out,
allow that.
He's saying that farmers only buy about 5% of their seeds from government outlets. So buying these seeds with the 500 rupee notes isn't going to make a significant impact. A, that's what he's saying. B, I'm just looking at the RBI's announcement this evening about how people can withdraw the 2.5 lakhs, for instance, for weddings. And you have to, prove, among other things, that the money is being paid to those people who do not have bank accounts. And there has to be applications of the bride and groom, their ID proof, date of marriage. They have to get married before December 30th and so on. How is this going to work? I mean, people have saved this money for weddings. This is their money. And how are they going to prove that they're paying this cash to people who don't have bank accounts? How is this going to work?
No, Nidhi, it's important to have, you see, the overall objective is to ensure that people who have unaccounted wealth do not go scot-free. So if you allow exemptions without any kind of safeguards, what will happen is everyone will go with a wedding card. It doesn't take much money to print a wedding card. Anyone can go with a wedding card and want to draw money. So this genuinely inconveniences some genuine people also, but at the same time these safeguards have to be applied to ensure unscrupulous people do not take advantage out of it. And also I think RBI guideline would have possibly mentioned how they, what kind of statements they can take from the individual who is receiving cash. Some kind of
but every day there's a new announcement, Mr. Rao.
Stating.
Every day there is a new announcement, and I'll come to you for more on that. But let me ask the Congress party in terms of the political impact of this. Sushmita Dev, you know, many people one speaks to over the course of the last several days. Of course, there are people who are angry. You can see genuine distress, especially in rural India. You can see a lot of anger in urban India as well. But you also see people who are coming out vocally and saying that they support this policy. Journalists who've traveled to UP also have come out with large numbers of people telling them that they support this. They believe in the long run this would be good for the country. How does the Congress see it? I mean, are you only looking at that one part of the picture that suits you politically?
No, it's not a question of what suits us politically. At the outset, on the 8th of November, when the Prime Minister announced this scheme, we went public to say that demonetization as a policy, there's nothing wrong with it. But you see, the amount of times the rules have changed, which has created a lot of chaos in the public domain, tells us that the government didn't think this through. And the only reason that they're showing for it is secrecy. Secrecy makes some sense to some extent, but if to maintain secrecy, nothing was stopping the Prime Minister from planning it properly with the RBI governor. What they have done today for the farmers, which is anyway too little too late, could have been done 8 days back. So they are coming up with new variations, with new regulations. If they had thought that through, then the exemption for the farmers, exemption for the weddings could have been there from day one. And that's where our grouse is, that to serve the greater interest of the nation, we all stand together. But clearly, Prime Minister Modi did not spend time in planning this, or something motivated him to do it before time than what he had planned, which gave the RBI not sufficient time to plan this out.
I understand everything you're saying.
Missing.
How do you still explain the voices of support for this scheme? How do you explain that?
Nidhi, the explanation to that is that the people of this country have shown great resilience, because everybody agrees that the black economy has to go, money in terror has to go. Who can disagree with that? We also don't. So if you ask a man standing in a queue that are you willing to walk this far for the nation, he is bound to say yes. That's the good side to an Indian citizen. But what I am saying is, it needn't have been this way.
All right, let me ask Sabha.
Could have been avoided.
Okay, Sabha Naqvi, you've just come back from UP, from parts of UP. What's your sense about the political impact of this? Is it too early to tell? Now that the distress is actually visibly showing on the ground, is this in a way possibly going to backfire, or is this working in the long term? What's your assessment?
Nidhi, it's way too early. This is going to play out. The great part is that there are people want to be part of an enterprise where they feel they're doing something good for the country. But the real complaint that I have, with also what is how could the government not have created a social net beyond the farmer who's facing a disaster? There is a labor who has to be paid. The most vulnerable are feeling the pinch the greatest, Nidhi, and this is the agriculture is the biggest employer in India. The second sector is textiles, which is all unorganized sector. So and the workers, the looms are shutting down. Labor is being, they're trying to find the money to send the labor home. So the most vulnerable are the ones who are feeling it the hardest. And it's when you come up a little bit, people who are unfamiliar with the banking sector. So the disaster, so I am angry with the government for not figuring it out. Now the question of how will it play out politically? I believe that unless there is a miraculous manner in which cash can be given into these sectors, you don't have transportation of goods, you don't have, fabric is not going there, looms are not going there, nothing is moving right now. Unless you have a miracle, public anger will build up. People will realize that what they thought is a nice clean-up exercise, that they are the collateral damage. in this exercise at a time.
You
Nidhi,
made an important
just,
point.
You know, one
Yeah.
about the shadi.
Yeah.
This 2 lakh RBI thing, I'm
Yeah.
so glad you brought it up. I think it's shocking that the BJP should show suspicion of Indians, ordinary Indians who want 2.5 lakhs, when one of their guys has just had a 500 crore wedding. Put him into jail then.